saw the title. You know, I am very disappointed in Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Kash Patel. Pam Bondi, after months and months of saying that there are Epstein files on her desk and that there are truckloads of documents that were delivered that would be released, a judge ordering the files released. Now, in a stunning, absolutely stunning statement yesterday, she says there are no files, there are no lists, there's no proof that Epstein blackmailed anyone. I find this absolutely incredible. This, along with what I feel is the lie saying, oh, Epstein killed himself. There's no proof that he didn't. Well, I've done numerous lives on Epstein. There's tons of proof. Michael Bodden, the expert that the DOJ calls on for autopsy and stuff like that, said it's impossible for him to have killed himself. He said impossible. This is just shocking, you know? And I am one that I like Pam Bondi, I like Dan Bongino, and I like Kash Patel, but somebody's head needs to roll. Someone's head needs to roll. And it should be Pam Bondi. Because it was Pam Bondi for months that went on Fox News and said time and time again that there were truckloads of data being delivered to the FBI. It's one of those cases she was either lying then or she's lying now. And at either point, that calls for her to resign, in my view, because it's just not acceptable for the Attorney General. Thank you. I'm a retired truck driver. But it's just incredible that for months and months and months, Pam Bondi has said that there were truckloads of files at the FBI that were delivered from the Southern District of New York, and now she says there are no files, there is no list, and there's no proof. Crocodile Kyle. Where are you from, Crocodile Kyle? She says there are no lists. And it's like, wait a minute. For months, she said, I'm talking about Epstein. Oh, many prayers for Texas. Many prayers. I'm talking about Epstein. Pam Bondi yesterday, in a stunning decision, said that there are no lists, there are no records, there's no proof that he blackmailed anyone. Thank you, Crocodile Kyle. She's, after months of saying that there was truckloads of evidence delivered to the FBI, now she says there's no evidence, that there's no proof of anything. And I find this absolutely shocking. I find it shocking because, like I started to say, I like Pam Bondi. I used to live in Florida, and she was a great attorney general, very much. Thank you, Crocodile Kyle. You too. That's not exactly true, Marquette. I did a live on this where I went into the solid facts. And here's what's true, okay? Many people have thought that Ghislaine Maxwell worked for Epstein. Wrong. Ghislaine's Ghislaine's dad is Robert Maxwell, and he is Mossad. It's a fact. It's been proven. And so that means that it's more likely that Epstein was working for Ghislaine, who was working for her dad. And Epstein was keeping this stuff and providing it to Ghislaine, who was providing it to her dad. Because I found it really odd, and that's why I started checking on it, that when his island was raided and his mansion in New York was raided, there were boxes and boxes and boxes of hard drives and stuff, and on the tape, on the top, it had yellow tape that said evidence. The FBI said, we did not put that there because we don't use yellow evidence tape. That means somebody else put it there. Yeah, I really do. And it's more complicated than that. See, Mossad needed someone to get dirt on world leaders. So I think, this is my opinion from what I found, is that Epstein used his private island where everything was videotaped, everything was recorded. That's in court records, according to Virginia Giuffre. According to court records, everything was videotaped. And what I think, and what makes common sense to me, is that he would get that dirt and turn that over to Mossad. This is another thing that I found out just this morning. Okay, his sole client was Al Wexner. Who is Al Wexner? The founder of Victoria's Secret. The founder of Victoria's Secret was his sole client, and where he made his billions of dollars. I don't know. Well, Virginia also testified that it was never Jeffrey that went and found the girls, that it was Ghislaine that always went and groomed the girls to go and spend time with Jeffrey and would pay them tons and tons of money. So that money had to be coming from somewhere, right? And could it be that the island and stuff was all a front? James O'Keefe just did a story on the Epstein Island. It's really, really shocking. It's really shocking. And guess who is in James O'Keefe's video from Epstein Island that he did? Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is in his video. Now, I don't know if she was actually there with Maxwell or how that transcribed, but Maxwell is there and somebody else is there, and up walks Pam Bondi. And I don't know if it was at the island or somewhere else. That was not real clear to me. And I think that Ghislaine said, hey, this guy likes this, that, and the other, and why don't we pump him to get information? Does that make sense? Or not pump him, use him to get information on world leaders. That it was her that was the kingpin. And another thing that bothers me, okay, that I talked about earlier, right before you came on, Michael Baden did a report on Epstein and said it's impossible for him to have killed himself. Impossible. He said the word impossible. And now you have Dan Bongino and Kash Patel saying, nope, he killed himself. You don't commit suicide by hanging by having your neck crushed in 3 spots. It doesn't work that way. They said his neck was crushed in 3 different spots. Not broken, because if you are 6'5" and you jump off of a 5-foot bed, you're not going to crush your neck. Also, on that front, Nancy Grace did a expose when Epstein got unalived, and she stated common sense. She said, look, she was in the his cell. She said, look at this. Every one of his pill bottles is neatly facing forward. Nothing is out of place. Nothing is a kilter or anything. And she said, she said the bed is not bolted to the floor. She said if he had jumped off of the top bunk like they said, all of his pill bottles would be in the floor. The bed would be turned over or moved at least. And I just find it incredible that it looks like this is getting covered up, and I strongly feel Pam Bondi should resign, even though I have supported her for years. I've supported her for years. But at this point, it's like, okay, she was either lying then or she's lying now. In either case, she, in my view, she has to resign. Yeah, he was definitely killed. And, you know, these people on mainstream media, I laugh at them because they're saying, well, you know, the video doesn't show that a hit team went in there and did this and did that. That's not the way Mossad works. If Mossad wants you, they'll put one of their people inside the jail as an inmate, and that's how they will take you out. And it's funny to me that within a few days after Epstein supposedly killed himself, all of his cellmates were transferred out of state. And it's just very upsetting because, you know, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I like Pam Bondi, I like Dan Bongino, and I like Cash Patel. But what has happened here has made me very upset because they're trying to tell us, no, it didn't happen like that, blah, 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 when we all know what happened. It's common sense that when there are videos online of pictures of boxes and boxes and boxes of evidence being taken out of Epstein's mansion in New York and off of the island, they had computers being loaded into, you know, vehicles off of his island. And another thing, while we're on talking about Epstein, I do not believe for a minute that Virginia Giuffre killed herself. I do not believe that for a minute, because somebody tried to say that she turned right or turned left in front of the bus. They don't drive on the same side of the street that we do. In Australia, she lived in Australia, they drive on the left-hand side of the road. So if she was turning left, she would have been turning onto a street away from the bus. She would have been turning, you know, like, I can't show you and hold the phone. But like, if instead of, like, we drive on the right side of the road, they drive on this side. So if a bus is coming from this way, going this way, and she turned left, she would be turning away from the bus. She would not be turning in front of the bus, if that makes sense. And her statement was that the bus T-boned her from out of nowhere. And that because of that, that she had kidney failure. And that the doctors had told her that she was likely not to live very long. Okay. Now, let's go a little bit further. This is where it gets interesting. She had, in like a couple of months ago, well, more than a couple of months ago, like last fall, she said that she could put Bill Clinton on Epstein Island and could name everything that he did with every single girl because she was right there. And then several months later, she supposedly gets in a car accident and then supposedly commits suicide, when she posted online several times over the past year, I am not now, nor have I ever been suicidal. If something happens to me, investigate it. It's just, you know, it's just crazy, the things that people think and people think are right, and then when you find out, no, that's not right. All right, that's what I got for y'all today. I will be back again tomorrow with another topic. Talk to you soon. Bye.